Hi, it's Terry Stevenson with the Builderall team, and I'm here today with another training video in the Pixel Perfect Tips series. Today, we're going to learn about the large selection of automated timers that we have in our Pixel Perfect Builder. We're going to explore all the different types of timers that we have in the Pixel Perfect Builder: the square timer, the simple timer, the text timer, the pill timer, the circular timer, and the panel timer. We'll spend a little bit of time discussing some ways you might want to integrate timers into your Builderall website and digital marketing efforts. So we'll have a lot of fun today. Let's get started. So I'm back in the Pixel Perfect Builder on my training pages, my training default pages. We're going to talk all about these awesome timers that are in our back office, ready for us to use and work with in our digital marketing campaigns. Now, let's scroll down here. I've already added another banner. Remember, the first thing you want to do whenever you're going to build anything is make sure you're putting everything on banners. It's very important. So as you can see, this light gray banner is here ready for us to work with. We're going to come over here to the Add Elements card and come right down here where it says New and click on the timer. It pulls up our card, and just like all of our other cards, we have an Anchor Points menu here where we can surf through these different types of timers just by clicking on the anchor points. So that's really a nice feature. Let's just bring in one of our square timers. We're going to come down here. We're just going to choose, let's just choose this one for right now. It'll be easy to see on the background. And now we have the square timer on our banner. So we're going to right click. And as you can see, we have several different options on the Configure Timer card. We have Edit, we have the timer sizes, and we also have Animation. So those are the options that we can customize for this timer on this banner. Let's go to, first of all, the timer sizes. You can adjust the sizes on your banners just by using this slide button up and down. And let me move this out of the way. As you can see, it changes the size of the number sizes. That's what determines the size of the box. And the description size, that's down here. So let's alter that so you can see the difference. See? So that's how you alter the size. Now we're going to right click again and let's check out the edit function. This is where we're going to configure the timer to really look the way we want it to look. Up here at the top, we have theme settings. Remember, we pulled in that gray theme, square, but we can also switch to the same color configurations and choose the simple version. We can go back to the squares, but it's changed and altered it to the default setting of the colors. We can choose the pill version. We can choose any of these versions here, the text. Let's stick with the square at the moment. So remember, you can alter your settings, the theme, the type of timer this is, up here. You can also make your color adjustments right here. So for the label, we have as white. Now that's the text of the labels. And you can see that the text is white. The value up here is white. Background is this lighter blue, and the border is the teal. So we can configure this any way we want. Let's go ahead and leave the labels white and the values white. Let's change the background to blue. You can see it altered it. You can change the border, a darker blue. Let's change the value. That's the numbers that are ticking down. Let's just change that to red so we can see them. See how that alters it? Click OK. So we've altered it to our colors. And remember, anytime you click on these, you can choose a color here. You can also save any colors that you bring into your palette. You can choose more colors here, and you can go through here and choose just about any kind of color you want and find the color that you're looking for. You can change the transparency here. You can see we've got a yellow cast to that there. So let's go ahead and make this white again. Down here is the data settings. This is where we're going to configure the timer to perform the way we want it to. The date setting, it's now set at specific date and time. What that means is that this is counting down for a specific date and time. The final date you can choose, like we can make that next month. We can even change the date and the year. We can make an ending time at whatever we want in terms of minutes. Let's set it at 0 and 0, because we're not going to put the time in there. So that's how you set it to a specific date. It tells you how many days. Let's go ahead and confirm it so we can see it here. Now remember, we altered the style, so our size has changed again. Let's make it a little bigger by going back and going to timer sizes. Just make it easier for us to see. So that's how you would set and configure your timer to count down to a specific date. Now let's come back in here, right click, and look at another one of those data settings. That was the specific date time. We can also choose a countdown. Now, in your countdown, you have the days, hours, minutes, and seconds for your countdown. So we can set this for, let's say, 3 days, and we'll just say 3 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, and confirm it. And you can see immediately it starts counting down. So we'll right click again, come to the edit function. Let's talk about the evergreen. And in the evergreen, you can set the days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So let's go ahead and set it again to 3 days. Keep in mind, you can always create as specific down to the second time. When you choose evergreen, let's confirm it, and you'll see it starts counting down just like before, only this one, when you go to preview mode, and let's move down the page and look at our counter, and it resets to the 3. Every time the user visits this page, it's going to be at the 3-minute mark. So you can use this timer and keep it evergreen. Let's return and edit. We right click in our data settings. We also have the refresh timer. The refresh timer allows you days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So we'll go ahead and set it to our 3 days and confirm it. And it starts running. Now let's go to preview. And it refreshed the timer immediately. And let's return to edit. And it refreshed the timer immediately. So you see, anytime you move in and out of this page, it's going to refresh that timer and start over again. Let's right click, edit, come down here to this button called Action. When we click Action, automatically we get this link option card, like we do on so many of the Builderall elements. That means that when the timer completes and runs down, we can activate one of these actions. We can send an email, or we can open a video, we can direct them to another page. We can even create a transition. We can create a pop-up. Back on our timing settings cards, we see down here right next to the action, we also have a configuration assistant, and right next to it, the select configuration with a reset button to the right of that. Now, what is a configuration assistant? Let's click it. Here is where you can specify exactly what you want it to do and save the settings to use again in multiple websites. It's kind of like a profile or a style. It's a specific configuration that you name, and then you can use it in multiple places. So you just tell it what you want to do, specifies up to a date. Here's the final date, the hours, the minutes. You give it a name and save the configuration. So let's just save this as New Year's Eve. We set the final date and the hours, so we can choose 23 hours and the minutes. Save the configuration. So now that we have set this configuration, we can come over here to select a configuration, and we have several configurations already set. We have our days to Christmas and our New Year's Eve here. So we're going to select the New Year's Eve and confirm it. Now our timer is set for that specific time. And not only can we use it in this one application, and we can use it in other ways in the Builderall platform just by selecting it in the configuration assistant. So that's really nice if you're building a lot of multiple websites that require the same timer. When we right-click and take a look at our configure timer card now, we've talked about how to edit the card and the timer itself, how to adjust the size. Now let's take a look at this animation feature. If we click on that and open up the configure animation card, we have mainly two different choices. In this field, right now it's set to none. We don't have an animation set to this timer. But when we open up the drop-down menu, we see all these different animation effects that we can apply to this timer. If you take a look down there, there's attention seekers, like you can make it shake, you can have it bounce in a certain way, bounce out in a certain way. Then we have fading entrances and fading out exits. Flippers, and you can see, just choose one of them, it flips it in a different way. Moving down, light speeds, and in and a light speed out, it just zooms in, zooms out. And then you have rotating entrances and rotating exits. We have special effects like a hinge effect, a roll in and a roll out effect. We have zoom entrances and zoom exits. So you'll want to check all of these out and see what they do. And once you've chosen your animation effect, you come down here, and this is where you select when you want that effect to happen. Do you want the effect to happen when the element appears on the page, when you click on the element, when the mouse is over the element, or when the mouse leaves the element? And you can tie it to an animation time counter. Let's just leave it on when the element appears on the page. And then you'd confirm it. And now this element is, let's see, what did we set the first one to? A zoom in down. Oh, here, we'll have a fade in. Confirm. Now let's preview it. Scroll down, and did you see how that fades in? You'd have to refresh it to see that again. It fades in. Let's go back to the timer selection card. As you notice, when we scroll down here and look at all of these timers, let's just pull up the simple one here. Let's add one. when you right click on it and go to edit, you're going to adjust these in the very same way. You still have your color adjustments, your data settings, and your action. You still have the configuration assistant and the select configuration and a preview pane. So you can use the same process that we just covered on the square timers with any of these other styles. Of course, you can always choose a style here, and you'll have the same options for your date settings and your actions and configuration. So let's cancel out of that. Go ahead and remove this timer, and let's go all the way to the bottom. The only timer we haven't talked about is the add time panel type. So I'm going to click on it and bring it up for us to check out. And as you can see, it's one of those flipping time panels. We can right click on it and edit it. And you'll notice in the theme settings, it's described as panels not responsive friendly. So I want to make sure that you understand that this particular timer is not responsive friendly when you're going from device to device. So if you're going to use it, be aware that you're probably going to have to make several different configurations of the same timer depending on what device you're viewing it on. So please beware of that when you're using this timer. It's not very responsive. But you have the date setting. You also have those three buttons here, the action, the configuration assistant, and the select configuration. The only thing you don't have is you cannot alter the color. So you're going to have this very basic black background with the numbers flipping on these cards. So I'm going to cancel this. And now that we've covered all of these timers that we've been working on, I'd like to show you a few applications that I've created using timers so you can get a first-hand feel of ways you might want to use it in your website. By all means, this is just a few examples. The first thing I'd like to show you is a pop-up I created that has a timer on it. So I'm going to come over here to the Add Elements icon and click on the very first one. That's the Add Pop-up, because when I do that, it will show me all the pop-ups I've created in this layout. Now my pop-up with a timer is this 2-day special pop-up. Click on Hide Show. That brings up a pop-up that I'm creating for a promotion that I have in mind for another business. It's going to be a pop-up that is activated once they try to leave the page that this offer is on. This is a report offer. So when they try to leave, this pop-up will arrive before you go and makes another offer. Buy one, get one free, and this offer is good for the next 24 hours. And it even gives a little clue that you can give one to your friend. Now, this pop-up was created using a template, a pop-up template, one of the themes, and it has a no thanks button and a yes please button. So when they click on no thanks, we can direct them wherever we want to direct them. And yes please, we can send them right to a checkout, and they get to take advantage of this in the next 24 hours. So don't forget, you can create pop-ups and put timers on your pop-ups. Here's a landing page with a timer on it promoting a course. I have to get a video in here, but it will set the timer however long you want to set it for. But what we're trying to do here is get people pre-registered for a webinar or a course, and if they pre-register, they're going to be entered into a drawing for one of 5 giveaways. So this is made on one of our templates as well. It's so fast and easy. All I did was customize the color of the text, moved the page just a little bit, and I think I added the timer, of course, which is a 3-day timer, and added these icons here, and I got those from the digital file repository in the icons section. So don't forget those resources are there. So here we have a simple timer on a landing page for a giveaway and a pre-registration for a course or a webinar. On this website, this is a website I did last Christmas, I put a simple timer with the countdown until Christmas. And it was just the simple timer in white on a banner with a title. It was so fast and easy. Here's another layout that I created. It's a political layout. I created this timer here, countdown until the time the polls open. So you see, if you're really creative, this is just a simple timer here, but I put it on a box and added some graphics on it and some specialty text and created a very unique themed timer appropriate for the website using just the simple timer. And I love this simple timer for that very reason, especially since it's responsive as well. That's just a couple ways that I personally have used timers in the websites I've built. Today, we've looked at all the wonderful timers we have at our fingertips as Builderall users. We learned how to configure the square timer, the simple timer, text timer, the pill timer, the circular timer, and the panel timer. And we even took a brief tour of just a couple ways that you can implement and use timers in your websites and digital marketing efforts. The wonderful thing about it is all of this comes as standard fare when you're working in the Pixel Perfect Builder. And that's amazing because in other platforms, you're going to pay extra for features like this. Builderall is the gift that just keeps on giving because you don't just have one timer that you can use on your websites and customize. You have all kinds of timers just waiting to be used creatively. So get in there, play around with these timers, and let me know what you build, because I'll see you in the community and in the next training video.